Hello YouTube, it's Supernova, back with more Explain 11. Today we're looking at taxi and takeoff in the Carenado King Air B200. Inverters, check both, select. DC power is supplied to one of the two operating inverters, which provide 400 Hz, 115 volt and 26 volt AC power for engine instruments and avionics. Load meters, paralleled within 10%. The generator load meters indicate generator amperage in percent of 250 amps per generator. Monitor the generator load meters and all electrical indicating lights throughout the flight. Avionics master on. The avionics power relays supply power to the buses. The relays require DC power to open and disconnect the avionics buses. External lights as required. Cabin lights as required. Bleed air valves open or environment off. These switches control bleed air entering the cabin for pressurization and environmental functions. In the open position, the environmental flow control unit and the pneumatic instrument air valve open. In the environment off position, the environmental flow control unit closes and the pneumatic instrument air valve remains open. In the instrument and environment off position, both the environmental and pneumatic flow valves are closed. Cabin temperature mode, auto. In the auto position, the air delivery system establishes the requested temperature. The requested temperature is set through the cabin temperature level control switch. Cabin temperature as required. Instruments, check. Condition levers, low idle. Parking brake, release. Avionics and radar, check. The weather radar should be set to off while on the ground. Pressurization check set. The pressurization system provides a normal working pressure differential, or PSID, which is the difference in pressures inside and outside the aircraft when flying at altitude. Bleed air from the engine compressor section is used to supply aircraft pressurization. Engine bleed is mixed with ambient air to form a suitable mixture. The flow control unit and bleed air valve switches control the mixture. In the environmental off or instrument and environmental off positions, the bleed air valve will be closed. In the open position, air is routed through a heat exchanger and then into a mixing plenum, where it is mixed with recirculated air, routed to the outlet ducts, and introduced into the cabin. To set the cabin altitude to 3,000 feet, rotate the cabin altitude knob to the free position. The selected pressure altitude is displayed on the outer scale of the indicator. The inner scale displays the highest ambient altitude the aircraft can fly, while maintaining the selected cabin altitude, which in this case is 20,500 feet. The rate control selector knob selects the rate of change of cabin altitude from 200 to 2,000 feet per minute. Autopilot check. Yaw damping and autopilot should not be engaged during takeoff. Electric trim check. All surfaces are manually trimmed, however optional elevator electric trim is available. The elevator trim switch must be placed in the on position to arm the system. The elevator trim tabs are then actuated by an electric motor in the fuselage aft section. Trim set. Set elevator trim to the takeoff position, which is the second marked up position. Rudder and aileron trims should be set to the neutral position. Engine frictions set. 4 friction locks control friction on the power plant control levers. Clockwise rotation increases friction or locks the levers in any desired position. Flaps check set. To test flaps operation, set flaps to the down position to 20 degrees and then return to the up position. Flight controls, full, free, correct. Pneumatic gauge, green arc. Gyro suction gauge, wide green arc. Bleed air fail, both extinguished. Auto feather, arm. The engine feathering system is available in the event of engine failure. The system feathers the affected propeller by opening a solenoid valve on the overspeed governor and dumping propeller control oil. The counterweights and springs will then rapidly feather the propeller. Turning the switch to the arm position provides power to a microswitch in each power level quadrant. The switch is closed when engine torque drops below 200 foot-pounds. Fuel quantity, instruments, check. Annunciators, out, considered. Transponder, on. The transponder identifies the aircraft on air traffic control radar. It emits a code identifying signal in response to an interrogating received signal. Prop synchro phaser as required. Strobes on. Ice protection as required. Auto ignition armed. In position, hold brakes, props 2000 RPM. Release brakes. Auto feather annunciators, check illuminated. Ignition on annunciators, check extinguished. Engines, check ITT torque in limits. Pull back gently on the stick at the rotate speed of 96 knots to establish 7 degrees of nose-up pitch. Establish positive rate of climb. Landing gear up. Flaps up. Yaw damp on. The yaw damper reduces rolling and yawing oscillations. Engines, climb power, set. Props set 1900 RPM. Synchro phaser on. The synchro phaser is an electronic system which matches the RPM of both propellers, establishing a blade relationship between them and reducing cabin noise to a minimum. Auto feather off. Engine instruments monitor. Cabin sign as required. Cabin pressurization check. I hope you enjoyed that look at taxi and takeoff in the Carenado King Air B200. Feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you again for the next explained video.